In an age where information is suppressed and controlled and a global epidemic is rampant, we need to ask these questions. What is the coronavirus actually made up of, and how does it function? When and from where did it really originate? Is there a bigger story, one that's not being reported, or at least not being reported correctly and accurately? And if there is, who was involved? How is the CCP or Chinese Communist Party involved? And what dark intentions did it have in the beginning? Who was the very first human infected by this virus? We'll revisit the strange circumstances around Patient Zero. How is China controlling this epidemic now? And did you know that they are using strict wartime disciplines to control its citizens? To understand the big picture, we need to dig deep into history, connections, and expose certain figures and groups. So get ready for another mind-blowing episode on COVID-19, the coronavirus.
Welcome to Edge of Wonder.
We're your hosts. I'm Rob.
And I'm Ben.
Well, since things are heating up a little bit, we thought we would just protect ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, because you never know what's going to happen.
Well, and some of you out there might be thinking, oh, this is fear porn, they're wearing masks and stuff. But actually, there's a method to our madness. All masks aren't created equal. And for those of our friends in China that are wearing surgical masks, you should actually probably switch to painter masks because these actually block particles coming in.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
you can form it to your nose, whereas a surgical mask is actually to protect the surgeon from spitting on the patient, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Right.
So, the surgical masks aren't really going to help much.
And also, this term fear porn, to be quite honest, it kind of bothers me a little bit.
It's so hot.
Yeah, because, actually there is a time to be cautious and we shouldn't be throwing the word fear porn around all the time, I don't think. I can see if someone's doing it like the Weather Channel or whatever, because, but anyway.
There's time and places for these things, right?
Yeah.
So, that's one thing. But, the sad thing is, Eric, who's our video editor, he was on the train, and he just got on the train, and he's very American,
dude
or I
is
should say Australian.
Yeah, but he's like the most clean-cut dude ever.
So some lady looked at him on the train and then quickly put on a mask. So it's like, I'm around Chinese people all the time, so
Ben is Asian.
Yeah, I really am for the most part. But I'm not wearing masks. I'm really not. It was just, we just thought it'd be interesting to wear it for the show. Well, anyway, guys, we didn't even try to monetize our coronavirus videos since YouTube are removing them and demonetizing any videos that are talking about this.
Yeah, we're making these because we're just actually as concerned as everyone else, and by no means are we trying to spread the fear porn we were just talking about. We're trying to understand why all the big media are actually censoring this topic. It's not like it was unleashed on purpose, right?
Or was it? Well, after our previous video in English and in Chinese, we got a lot more info being sent to us by viewers and our special contacts.
Yeah, and after watching our Chinese video, I think I should just have that guy dub all my speaking in Chinese from now on. Every time I talk, I'll just have him speak for me.
Well, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Our team did an amazing job translating that video and finding other people to do the voiceover. In fact, Cindy was on vacation and she spent a whole day translating this while she was there on vacation. So we really want to thank her for that.
Yeah, Cindy works on our team, just so you all know. Yeah, so the voiceover guys did an amazing job, and we feel this topic is so important for the Chinese people to understand and know what's going on, since it's hard for them to learn the truth inside of China and sometimes even outside.
That's for sure.
Yeah, looks like we'll be doing a lot more of these. This is not the last episode. In our last episode, though, we covered a general view of what the coronavirus is and how a lot of content is coming out of China exposing the truth.
Right, and since there is so much to cover and so much information coming through every day, we just wanted to dive right into it in this episode.
The report. We're first going to talk about a report in China that paints a new picture. In an interview with the China Report YouTube channel from the Epoch Times, Heng He, a senior political analyst focusing on China and the Chinese Communist Party, mentioned some mind-blowing facts.
He really explained more of the scientific and technical aspects to the virus, in which neither one of us really understood 100%, but we'll do our best to explain this to everyone because this is very, very important and easily overlooked because you have to take the time to understand how biology works.
One of the really interesting facts that he talked about is how the coronavirus spreading now in China is a 100% match to another virus in a gene bank in China, which was submitted by the Nanjing military.
He mentioned that these two envelopes, and the envelopes are the outer structure of viruses that enclose the capsid of the virus, and the capsids are the protein shells of a virus. In other words, the envelope is derived from the host cell's membrane. This Wuhan virus envelope is an exact match to the Nanjing military one.
So this virus, which was submitted by the Nanjing military, comes from Jiaoshan, which is over 1,000 miles away from Wuhan. And also, Jiaoshan is also a kind of bat in that area, which hence the name.
Also, when looking at a microscope photo of a virus, there are these spikes which are called H spikes. These are what enable viruses to latch onto their host cells. So in order for it to infect a human, these H spikes need to be compatible with humans. Think of it as a key and lock kind of thing. The H spikes are the keys, and the lock would be a cell either in a human or an animal.
So this Jiaoshan envelope virus is impossible to infect humans since the H spikes are not compatible with humans. So in order for the Wuhan coronavirus to spread in China, it had to go through a change. So was it through a natural mutation or through genetic engineering?
But get this, the H spikes in the Wuhan virus are nearly an exact match as the SARS virus. Only 4 things are different, so basically 96% of it is an exact match. So think about this for a second. One envelope has a lot of different sequences for a coronavirus. For there to be an exact match is nearly impossible since they are coming from different places in different envelopes.
So is it possible for a human to get a bat coronavirus? I mean, it is, but not on the scale we're seeing right now. Unless it was through water contamination, such as deliberately polluting the Wuhan water fountains or a main water facility, or a highly sick person touching a whole lot of people. And by touching, I mean they would have to pretty much be making out with tons of people. Making out, full on, like, you know.
Right, so in other words, the probability of having a massive pandemic from one bat would require a massive viral load, which is the infectious particle per milliliter.
According to Heng He, this is extremely rare. The fact that these two viruses of the Wuhan and Nanjing are an exact match seems nearly impossible. However, what's odd is that Euronews had an article titled, "Can COVID-19 be transmitted through water pipes? The story of a Hong Kong evacuation."
It is how health authorities in Hong Kong quarantined roughly 100 residents living in the same apartment complex after 2 people tested positive for the coronavirus.
The article states, quote, "The residents affected by the illness, a 62-year-old woman and a 75-year-old male patient, lived on separate floors of Hong Mei House, sparking fears that the virus could be transmitted through drainage pipes," unquote. So this would bring an entire new conversation to the table if something like this happened in China.
But that isn't all. What is still baffling us is that the Epoch Times published an article titled, "Hong Kong scientists developed technology to detect coronaviruses but denied funding." Yeah, this makes no sense to us. How can they not get funding? I mean, Bill Gates gave to the PureBright Foundation and other companies a lot of money for a cure, but not to this?
Also, Jeff Bezos is donating $10 billion to combat the so-called climate change, but also can't give a little bit to help this Hong Kong group. And Bill Gates is giving billions in grants, but maybe he just overlooked this? Right.
Well, that is an entire episode on its own, but that brings up a question. Why was China leading the Paris Climate Agreement? something to think about.
But getting back to the article, it states they don't know why they were denied, but find it strange since they have everything ready to roll this out. It states that the system can be operated by clinic nurses or laboratory assistants, as the operator only needs to place a patient's specimen into the device to get the testing going, unquote, but received no support.
So weird. And this just keeps getting weirder. On September 18th, 2019, the Wuhan Tianhe Airport performed an emergency response drill in which the airport customs initiated a contingency plan for none other than a patient with the coronavirus.
Holding a drill like this is somewhat normal, but out of 10,000 viruses, 10,000, they selected the coronavirus in just a few months before the epidemic broke out in Wuhan.
But before we go any further, let's get back to Hong He, who is being interviewed by the China Report about how this virus was spread. Hong He said he doesn't like to champion the idea of conspiracy theories, but he doesn't believe this happens naturally.
Meaning the original source of this coronavirus that is being spread was from bats, but was mutated by someone to allow this virus to infect humans on a large scale and used the SARS virus to change it.
Also, viruses change in climate and time and different people, and a lot of things slightly change the makeup of a virus. What they are finding is no matter who has the coronavirus or in what country or place, this is exactly the same makeup of the virus, meaning not a single component of it has changed.
This is highly unnatural, and again, something we are not finding in the mainstream narrative. To use an analogy, this would be similar to creating a computer program where you take different parts of two different programs to make a new program that has a very specific purpose. And just like a computer program, it doesn't change. It's a program, which is different than a normal virus, which actually evolves as it enters different bodies.
Exactly. In different environments.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And over time.
Is there a history of galactic activity, such as wars, alliances, and other agendas, that have an effect on life on Earth? What are the secret agendas behind the unseen forces and influences in mass media? What is the Draco-Reptilian agenda? What is one of the greatest secrets of the deep state or dark occult? And how does this secret relate to love, the inner child, and the essence of what it means to be human? How has the law and the legal system been used to further the war on spirituality? What secrets to our freedom have been hidden in plain sight there? The powers that be are required to reveal their secrets to us. Some of the best secrets of all are contained within the legal system itself. And I'll be showing you what these secrets mean for our liberation and evolution. All this and more in my new series, Into the Storm. I'm your host, Justin Deschamps. Only on edgeofwonder.tv.
So the Chinese Communist Party, or the CCP, has done extensive research to create animal viruses that can affect humans. And this is actually something they were proud of achieving a few years back.
There were several teams working on these viruses. So they would take viruses that couldn't be transmittable between species and make them so they could and even affect humans. Great job, guys.
And guess what? The main team doing this is in Wuhan and have a P4 or biosafety level 4, which means they have the highest security level. This means that they are allowed to examine the deadliest viruses on our planet.
The team working at this institute and doing this research have done it for years, and even published a paper in Nature magazine in 2015. They bragged how they were able to manipulate a bat coronavirus to make it transmittable to humans. Great job, guys, again.
So in other words, the Wuhan Institute of Virology already had this coronavirus back in 2015 at their P4 lab. They even stated they made 2 viruses into one in order to affect humans. China's Academy of Science is the main organization that oversees the lab, and we will get back to this very soon.
But this isn't some conspiracy. This was published by the Nanjing military in Western academic journals, and in one of them was the Nature magazine with the title, A SARS-like cluster of circulating bat coronaviruses shows potential for human emergence. However, the lead scientist claims she never presented this in a speech, but you can find it on Chinese websites.
Also, just recently, the DOJ put out a press release on how Dr. Charles Lieber, a Harvard University professor, aided the Chinese Communist Party as a strategic scientist for the Wuhan University of Technology, or WUT.
You mean what? What? Exactly, that's the question we're asking.
What?
Right. The CCP paid him over $50,000 US a month, provided his living expense, which was another $150,000, and even gave him an additional $1.5 million to establish a research lab at what? Lieber lied to US officials and Harvard about his involvement.
The other person involved was a Chinese national named Yan Xingye, who was working as a researcher for Boston University. Turns out, she is a lieutenant for the Chinese military.
Oh, that's common.
Yeah. He applied for a visa in the US. She's,
Just failed to disclose it, you know. I mean,
I'm just a lieutenant in the military,
Right.
you know. Not a big deal.
yeah. I mean, just have your military come over, lieutenants, and go anywhere you want. You're not communist or anything.
I guess.
Chinese people have to state in the US if they are a party member while applying for a visa, a green card, or any government ID. Oh, I don't know, maybe because they murder people. If they state they are, they most likely will be denied because it shows that their loyalty will always be with the party. That's how that brainwash mechanism works.
Exactly. The third person was Zhao Song Zheng, who was sponsored by Harvard and was working at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. Zheng stole 21 vials of biological research and attempted to smuggle them outside of the United States.
He attempted to board a flight destined for China on December 9th, 2019, but was arrested at the Logan airport while still lying to federal officers about what he had with him. No surprises there.
Yeah.
But why is Wuhan an important place in China? Well, Wuhan is the main trade route between North and South China, so it's pretty much the center.
Whoever controls Wuhan has easy access to a lot of cities in China. Right now, the former leader Jiang Zemin controls all of Shanghai, and Xi Jinping, the current leader, controls Beijing.
Jiang is one evil dude. For the West, this would be like having George Soros, David Rockefeller, Rothschild, Clinton, and Bush as one person. See where this is going?
Yeah. Jiang could have more deaths on his hand than anyone currently living today in the world.
Or who has ever lived. I mean, seriously.
Could be. Now, why, you ask? Because he is the mastermind behind the illegal organ harvesting in China, along with countless deaths of Christians and other minority ethnic groups.
He's a type of person who would rather destroy a city full of people than be arrested or killed. However, this dude's old. He's almost 94 years old, and no one has seen him publicly in nearly 2 years.
Now, Jiang's son, Jiang Minghong, has pretty much taken over his father's empire. They control pretty much everything in Shanghai, to schools, universities, organizations, banks, energy and technology companies, and have accumulated wealth through scandals, bribes, lies, embezzlement, even killing. The amalgamation of these groups are called the Shanghai Group.
Jiang Minheng was also the VP of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, which oversees the Wuhan Virology Institute, until 2011 when he was let go due to his age. Yes, his age. I mean, I'm sure it had nothing to do with what we just stated above. Also, he hired Neil Bush, son of George H.W. Bush, as a business consultant. This just keeps getting better.
It sure does. Well, the head of the Wuhan Virology Institute is Yanyi Wang, whose husband is Xu Hongbin, and he is the dean of the Wuhan University.
So based on all of our connections and research, Jiang Mianheng selected Xu Hongbin to lead the university, which has one of the most well-known medical schools in China.
Wuhan was the leading city in illegal organ harvesting on Falun Gong practitioners and underground Christians. It seems Jiang still has total control over Wuhan and Shanghai. So since he couldn't control Beijing, he decided to go after one of China's most central cities. Wuhan.
So to continue on with the organ harvesting and to make sure that it doesn't slow down, Zhang put a lot of his own people into power, and Wuhan seems like it's been under Zhang's control since all of that.
So there's so much more to this Xu Hongbing. He grew up poor and failed school when he was younger, but was accepted at Lanzhou University and got the highest score in his class in the 1980s. He got a job in the US, and ironically, in 2011, he was an elected member of the Chinese Academy of Sciences and then became the dean of the Wuhan University.
This is sort of like someone who's not very talented in Hollywood, just, getting that record deal and selling a lot of albums and no one can figure it out.
Yeah, it's all about connections.
Right.
Here.
He also studied under Gary J. Nabel, who is the chief scientific officer and the senior vice president at the French pharmaceutical company Sanofi. Nabel even said that Xu was one of his greatest students.
Yeah, and also just to note that the French consulate in Wuhan is just down the street from the Wuhan Virology Institute. Now, we are going to continue our research with this French company because just looking into a little bit, there were a lot of red flags. They're also working on a cure for the coronavirus.
So this company seems to play a role, but we have to save that for the next episode, which leads us right into patient 0. Yo, so not to cut this off, but this video got pretty long, so we decided to cut this between 2 different episodes, and the next one is actually going to publish tomorrow.
Yep, because otherwise we wouldn't have time to edit everything. So we thought it would be better to cut this into 2 episodes, just right back to back. And we're just trying to get as much information as we can about the coronavirus because it's a very hot topic and everybody wants to know what's going on. And so do we, and we are getting a ton of information. So it's just too much to make into one video.
In other words, stay tuned and we'll see you out
On the Edge of Tomorrow.
Good movie.
It is a good movie.
Oh yeah, my facial recognition isn't working right now. I wonder why.
Right. So in other words, the probability of having a massive pandemic.
Pandemic.
Gosh.
Paramedic.
Pandemic.
French pharmaceutical company of Sanofi. Is that right?
Sanofi.
Sanofi.